So it's another beautiful morning at Montignac, and I'm going to walk through the church now. And this video I'd like to talk partially about how to conserve supplies as a player, and the other part is going to be sort of an opinion piece on how I think players should be taught supply conservation. See, my view is that players should be, or the entire game should be, without any hard limits on supplies. No punishing limits like rationing per player or per rank or anything. Because I feel a lot of new players that will come into the game, the first thing they will do, they will go to an armory, and they will load up with probably 100, 200, 300 points worth of supplies. Then they're going to go into combat and they'll be shot dead within 3 seconds. And of course that appears to be a waste of supplies. And then some players have the instinct to punish that or limit that. Well, I don't want to do that. I want new players to keep trying to play like that until they learn on their own that it's not efficient to play this way. So I want them to repeat that same mistake 10, 15, 20 times, no matter how long it takes. Until they eventually come to the point that, okay, this isn't working out. Perhaps I should take fewer supplies. Or learn the supplies that I'm using, learn how to use them better. Because eventually a player will come to the point where he will value not disappointing his teammates more than having that personal emotional high of just getting the best gear and going into combat like that. And I want players to reach that point naturally in a friendly and, more importantly, forgiving atmosphere. Because I think this may have been an accident by the developers, or perhaps it was intentional, that this game is mostly without any rules. So there's no potential for players to punish other players for breaking those rules. And I think it's an amazing accident because it avoids a lot of that hostility you get in games like Squad, where everybody's ratting out everybody for anything, like not capping the flag enough, using the wrong gear, or using the wrong vehicle at the wrong time. And as I mentioned in the previous video, I think Reforger breaks all those rules, and I think it makes for better team play. And I think some players might say that it's not possible, it will lead to too much wasted supplies and perhaps lost matches. And I'm thinking, does it even matter if a match is lost? It doesn't matter for me, because I think one of the best things in this game is that matches don't have time limits. So there's no total ticket count like in Squad or Battlefield. And I can still consider Squad basically a Battlefield clone, with much nicer reload animations. And that means a match can take 5, 10, even 15 hours. Doesn't mean you play all the whole match. Unless, of course, it's a Sunday. But so you play 1 or 2 hours in a match, and the match keeps going. But you still get that fulfillment of making your own tactical plans, having that team play combat that you want to have, and then you leave the game after 1 or 2 hours. So that's the thing. I never feel like unfulfilled or empty like in Squad when I play a few matches. Because I notice like this emotional drop when I'm playing Squad, and like right after the match ends, there's like this weird emptiness where you just want to leave the game. And I don't get it in So I think for some players it may be that they get that instant reward of that quick fix of rationing supplies for players who waste them or rationing them in general. But then you're throwing away a long-term reward. And the long-term reward here is, and that's not instant gratification, that's a longer-term, I would call it like slow burn happiness that sets in after some point, which is that if new players or players who simply play stupid are forgiven their mistakes over and over, I think there's a certain sense of gratitude and sense of being in a community that likes you. And that I think will lead in the long term to players wanting to play better because they don't want to disappoint their teammates, as I mentioned earlier in the video. So that's why I would like to keep the game without any gear restrictions or loot restrictions that would limit how much a player can load. Keep it like friendly and keep it forgiving. And the long-term reward for you as a player and as a community will eventually kick in. And I also think there's a small set in the community of people who just use the rationing of supplies, or forcing rules on others to satisfy some internal need on telling other people what they have to do. Not everybody's like that, but some people, I think, they use it because they have this desire to do that. And that will not lead to long-term happiness or better game. It will just lead to a game full of weird rules and players trying to kick each other for supposedly not following those rules. Then you have a poisonous atmosphere of players constantly looking for outmaneuvering other players or arguing over different supplies or assets they can use. Okay, now reach the supply point. Now this part of the video is going to be a small set of tips on how to conserve supplies for new players. Okay, so when you go to an armory as a new player, one thing you should look out for. So when you spawn in at a base, your first respawn costs about 20 supply points, and it can be halved by 50%. So it's down to 10 points if there's living quarters built in that area. But they're not always built, so let's assume you cost 20 supply points to just respawn with a basic rifle and armor kit. But here's the thing, you can do a lot of things with just a basic kit like that. You can cap flags, you have 6 spare magazines, one on the gun, and now that's my experience, even most experienced players don't survive a firefight for longer than they have time to shoot 2 magazines at the enemy. Most players don't survive fights long enough for that because of the inherent chaos and unpredictability of it, unless you're really well coordinated. So I suggest a few times trying to go out just with a basic rifleman kit and trying what you can do. And again, I'm saying this not as some type of weird threat that you should play like. It's more like an encouragement, like see what you can do with a basic kit, then you can appreciate the possibilities you get with a bigger kit. Because when you're used to just basic boring kits, then every once in a while you take a machine gun, it will feel like a whole new world to you. It feels like getting into Mark Room and Escape from Tarkov. Okay, so let's say you're a new player and you take a lot of gear. Let's say you take a backpack. Cost 3 points. Then we take a machine gun, 53 points. The ammo is relatively cheap. Can have about 70 supply points. Also notice a lot of things in the armory don't cost any supplies. So the basic magazines, the quote-unquote basic, they're still dangerous weapons. Basic 5.56 ammo costs nothing, even if you use the trace ammo. Machine gun ammo costs only 1 point. Even sniper ammo does. Basic ammo is almost completely free. It's just the weapon systems and the special weapons that cost a lot of supplies. Now let's say now I'm loaded about 60, 70 supply. Now the question is, do you need that to fulfill the mission that you want to do? If you don't need that, try using fewer supplies, especially if you spawn in the base where it's close to the enemy. Because think about that. When you spawn in, you cost 20 supply points. Let's say you're at the base where you have to defend against the enemy, and you have about, let's say you have 100 supply points at the base, and every few seconds you get 5 more points in, and the enemy's attacking the base. So what you then would do is it really worth for you to load in 70 supplies just for yourself? Or would it be worth not getting any supplies and allowing 5 more players to spawn in to defend the base? Because one player shot dead with 100 supplies on him is just as dead as a player with 20 supplies. So yeah, that's why I made this video, I think, because I see a lot of chatter on the Discord about how to limit supplies and how to combat wasting supplies. And I made this video to encourage players who are in the discussion, or incentivize them to keep it friendly and forgiving. Because once this game starts ending up like Squad, full of game rules, it's not going to be good for the game.